subject had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. We got it right today, Ron. People are going to think we're AI.
That's
right.
We
had a comment on YouTube like 2 months ago where someone goes, I thought this was a real show. It's AI. What are you talking about? Like, this is the most not AI show there is out there. We're still broadcasting like it's 5 years ago, man.
Well, don't get carried away. We'll make a mistake.
Yeah, just give us a minute. All right, guys, I know why you're all here. Welcome. Pray the Rosary Daily. You were first. Holy cow. Amazing. Happy Thursday. Carleets, good morning. John Attackis, good morning. And Ponyboy, good morning. I think all time Ponyboy still has the top for being the first.
For sure.
Yeah, I think people are going to have to work pretty hard to beat Ponyboy to the first. So, and every now and then, We Dem Boys shows up. So,
yeah,
between one or the other. In the beginning, it was We Dem Boys.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome. Good morning, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Reason 411. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Very fun. Okay, guys, I know why you're here. I know why you show up early. You're here for the simultaneous sip. All you need is a cup or a mug, a glass, a tankard, a chalice or a stein, a canteen, jug or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. And join me now for the unparalleled pleasure of the dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything better, the simultaneous sip. And it starts right now.
They want to ban straws. Has anybody ever tried those paper straws? They're not working too good. Right? Has anybody ever tried, seriously, the new sort's made out of paper, right? It disintegrates as you drink it. If you have a nice tie like this tie, this would have no chance. By the time you get finished, the straw is totally disintegrated. Does anybody walk around with a plastic straw? Because it's not bad. You know, you whip it out, boom, boom. You never had to do that. So they want to ban straws. They said, what about the cart? What about the plate? What about the knives and the spoons and the plastic? Well, they're okay. But the straws we got to ban.
Oh, that's our president, ladies and gentlemen. He's as funny as Ronald Reagan ever was.
He's going to take over for Seinfeld.
That was the post there. It was, well, that wasn't a post. That's a ripped video I've got. But the post I got it from said, you can put any of Trump's speech behind Seinfeld and it makes it a comedy show. I was like, yeah, it is. That's pretty fun. Erasure. It's a good morning in Boise. Welcome, welcome. All right, you guys, lots of stuff going on today. And, I wanted to play this. This was Mark Carney. He gave this little speech. He's big mad. He's big mad because the rules-based order is not being enforced. International law. Nobody's enforcing international law these days.
We support efforts to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security. Because Canada is taking the world as it is, not passively waiting for a world we wish to be. We do, however, take this position with regret because the current conflict is another example of the failure of the international order. Despite decades of UN Security Council resolutions, the tireless work of the International Atomic Energy Agency, and the succession of sanctions and diplomatic frameworks, Iran's nuclear threat remains.
Are you listening to this guy?
The United States and
pretty
Israel
serious.
have acted without engaging the United Nations or consulting allies, including Canada.
He's big mad because nobody told him we were going to do it.
So where to from here? With a rapidly spreading conflict and growing threats to civilian life. Canada reaffirms that international law binds all belligerents. We condemn the strikes carried out by Iran on civilians and civilian infrastructure across the Middle East. And we implore all parties, including the United States and Israel, to respect the rules of international engagement. Canada calls for a rapid de-escalation of hostilities and is prepared to assist in achieving this goal.
Oh, good.
We support...
Canada's been such a good ally lately. All right, guys. I had a friend in prison who used to always bark about international law and they're violating international law, blah, blah, blah. And I was always like, dude, stop. You can't. Who's enforcing?
Did he say A after that?
Huh? No. I was like, who enforces international law? So I got right here a little cartoon. Okay, this is a real cartoon. So take a look at it, Ron. Go ahead and flip it on the screen here. So you're violating international law, says one leader to another as he's beating up on someone, right? Well, he says, why don't you call the world police? He goes, I am. And then ring, ring, ring. And Ron, who's answering?
Oops, circle.
Oops. Yeah. So the caption on this from the poster SK cartoon says, without meaningful enforcement, so-called international law is really just a suggestion. And the U.S. is the only real enforcement force on the world stage. That is very much the case, right? International law, if people follow it voluntarily, the quote unquote rules-based order, that's great. But when someone violates it, what do you do? So we hear things like Canada has broken every agreement they've ever made. Oh, really? Why don't you take them to court? I don't know. Why don't you take them to international court? You can hear a pin drop. And they're going to do what? You know what I mean? Nothing, right? Rules are only rules if they can be enforced. In the United States, what happened?
I don't know.
All right, guys, we're going through a minor. Okay, looks like it was just a momentary lapse there. Are we still streaming and everything?
Yeah.
All right, we blacked out for a second, is what it is. Okay, so what was I mid-sentence saying?
Something about international law.
International law. Okay, so international law, right? China breaks the law. Well, okay, so take them to court, and nothing happens, right? Rules are only as good as they are to be enforced. And I say this all the time. What's the purpose of the United States Navy? To protect the trade routes from the pirates. That's like the whole purpose of it, right? Oh, it's for national defense. No, it's not. It's to make sure stuff gets from overseas to us.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's to enforce the contracts. Otherwise, it's gone. Pirates are going to take it. Okay. And if enough pirates get together, they become a new hegemonic power. Okay? This has happened time and time again in life. Now, last night at 1776live.us, we had a really interesting discussion. And I saw this clip. I think this comes out of a movie about the one of the rebellions in England. It's got the character that plays Jon Snow in it. Wow, I can't remember. Anyways, he's playing chess with someone who's kind of representing a moral figure here. It's got a mask on. And it's a very short clip, but I want you to listen to it. It's really, really important to understand this, okay? When it comes to power and it comes to governments and things like that, you will be told to do something by someone who has superior force, right? This is the whole point of government. They have a monopoly on power, ideally so that they can stop criminals, right? But we allow them to muscle up like the criminal muscles up and beat them. However, just because someone with authority tells you to do something does not mean that it's okay to do. When you cross the moral line, right? The line of where God becomes your judge, this is how this clip right here is perfect.
Your soul is in your keeping alone. Even though those who presume to play you be kings or men of power, when you stand before God, you cannot say, but I was told by others to do thus, or that virtue was not convenient at the time. This will not suffice.
Right. When you stand before God, you cannot say, well, a king told me to do it. Well, the law told me to do it. Well, the police officer told me to do it. Well, the president told me to do it, right? When you do evil, you choose. But what's evil, Ron? What's evil? Is taking out criminals evil? Is going after bad people evil? What if it caused suffering on the part of the criminal? Is that evil? Should we, what should we do about that? Where is my mouse? Here we go. What should we do about it? When you see evil, should you intervene?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. But what about international law, Ron? What if evil's happening in a sovereign country? What if evil's happening and you're profiting from it?
I'm going to let more smarter people figure that part out, but I'm not going to just sit around and wait for them to talk it out.
You think, right? But a lot of people do. A lot of people do because they don't believe in a North Star. They don't have a moral compass of right or wrong. They don't believe their soul will be judged.
Well, a lot
by
of
God.
times, by the time you get around to talking it out, the moment's gone. You got to strike while the hammer's hot, you know? Got to go.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have an example in recent history from a country that in a very, very short period of time turned itself around from being a crime-ridden hellhole to being one of the safest places on the planet. And the leader of this country made a really clear point. He made a really clear point to the world when he did this because he had to crack down. He had to break the law. In fact, down in El Salvador, I'm talking about Bukele, they had to have the great exception, the exception. What was the exception? To the Constitution. Because the Constitution had created a blockade for them to have to do virtue, to do the right thing.
But what about the human right for women not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to, you know, to play or to be free or to, you know, go to the park? And what about the human right to live or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers.
When you're worried about the human, go ahead.
He's talking about the human rights of the virtuous things.
He's talking, yes, not the human rights of MS-13,
Right.
right? He's like, well, you guys are so concerned about due process for people that have already proven that they're killers, for people that have already proven that they're oppressive, that they're Satan worshipers, right? I respect your right to believe in whatever you want, but you sacrifice a kid to your God, we're done, right? I have to now intervene. I have to do something because God will hold me accountable for not having done something. This is where we now have to become our own moral conscience as an individual and as a family, as a state, as a nation. We have to have a moral compass. Okay. And we can debate.
Sometimes the inaction while you want to talk it out is part of the problem.
Yeah. And it's kind of one of those two wrongs don't make a right, right? So we have to be careful about all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Hey, we want to help the poor, but not by stealing from somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? That doesn't make it right. I'm going to show you a little video here. This is a propaganda video. And the thing on here says the path to freedom. I watched this video and I almost was like, how can I fit this in? Because it's a powerful video here. Okay. When we talk about a people that are oppressed and what's the right thing to do, I'm not, you know, I second George Washington and the founding fathers. Actually, I don't even think George Washington said this. I think it was Jefferson. We don't want to go around the world looking for dragons to slay, right? That's not our purpose. But sometimes the dragon comes to your doorstep. Sometimes the dragon is in its lair and it's sending out its demonic demons to cause havoc around the world, and it oppresses its people. Watch this video here and tell me if you don't understand where our moral compass should be in all of this. There's a line that we can't cross, but we've crossed it.
Do you think she'll do it? You can do it. Now it's your turn. Thank you.
I got to say something.
You know, this is exactly what me and my wife were talking about last night.
Yeah.
We were talking about the oppression of the women over there.
Yeah. And at what point do you do something? Do we run around the world trying to free every woman in a burqa? No.
No.
But we're talking about Iran.
Right.
And it's notable to look at the two women running, the woman in the American outfit and the woman in the Jewish outfit. Both of those cultures, originally, America, women didn't vote. Okay. I wouldn't say they were repressed, but, you know, they were property to a certain degree. And the Jewish faith is the same thing. Go read the Old Testament. Okay. But they changed their culture. They changed their culture to where women have equal rights to men. And I know in my circles, men respect the opinion of women. You know what I mean? And
yeah. I think we're it's kind of funny that we're even talking about this like it's somehow, you know, we're on some fringe.
Yeah, we're so fringe. We talk to human beings like we're all the same. I know. It's crazy. But it is an interesting thing to think there, right? What about the rights of all those women? You know, one of the things that I've seen a lot of Iranians saying is, you just liberated 46 million women. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, there's 90 million people in that country, but And the men, they do what they need to do. But the women, they don't have any choices in the matter over there.
Right.
None whatsoever. Right? It's pretty incredible. Now, here's the thing. When we talk about international law, well, the policeman finally showed up. You know, the whole world's been calling 911 for 47 years, and the police finally showed up. Okay. This is Venezuela. This was yesterday. This is Doug Burgum, the Secretary of the Interior. He's in charge, or Department of the Interior. Yes. He's in charge of oil leases. Okay. So the Department of Interior is the oil guy. He was down in Venezuela.
Quiero igualmente agradecer al presidente de los Estados Unidos.
Is the new president of Venezuela, the butcher herself. Okay, the butcher herself. However, Venezuela has changed in a matter of a month and a half. It's like a different country down there. They've got oil revenue that's legitimate. Okay, they've released all their prisoners. Trump put out a social saying Delcy Rodriguez has been doing a really good job. That she's following along. She's taking the American lead.
Hold on, I thought we were down there just stealing all their oil.
Apparently not. Here she is sitting with Doug Burgum in a little meeting. Not a lot here as far as context, but she speaks good English. Maybe. Well, you can't hear it because there's background noise. But anyways, this right here, you guys, there will be a time probably in Trump's presidency where he goes down to Venezuela. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes his way to Cuba. Things can change quickly when you take out the bad people. What about the human rights of the Venezuelans?
Well, and also sometimes things aren't what they seem. You know, when the local media is telling you one thing, but things are something else.
So the question, right, in Venezuela, if you could take one man out and change that whole nation in a month. Now, I'm not saying there's not problems. I'm not saying there won't be problems. We all have problems. But holy cow, you just liberated a lot of people.
And you
just gave them an opportunity to vote again.
And you did it without big scale war.
You did it without big scale war. So who's the real enemy, right?
Do you know what
your soul will be judged by God. So whether kings or UN or some authority figure tells you one thing, it doesn't make it right, right? So this is an old clip from Charlie Kirk debating a socialist, a communist, or whatever you want to call it. We're going to watch this because this is what we're up against, right? At what point do we have to say, listen, that ideology, that thought process always leads to death. So there is a justification for me to stand up to it the moment I see it. And I'm pretty sensitive. When people start, like, I've now figured out what collectivism is by its many names, right? Once you figure it out, you can't unsee it, and you always know it leads to death. What about the human rights of the people who end up starving? What about the human rights who end up under these oppressive regimes?
You're a big fan of Mao?
Mao's a pretty interesting character.
How many people did he murder?
How many people did he murder? I mean, how many people do you think he murdered? How many people did
45 million, murder? More or less.
And what are you getting that number from?
How about the Chinese people themselves? Rough calculations of international organizations. Mass graves.
What do you mean, the Victims of Communism Fund that literally puts out Nazi propaganda on a regular basis?
I'm sorry, wait. The Victims of Communism Fund is a what group?
You realize in the USSR, they list Nazi war deaths as victims of communism.
Hold on a second. You're pro-Lenin too?
Yeah, I mean, Lenin did a lot of really great things for the USSR. They literally brought
They list Nazi war deaths as victims of socialism because fascism is social. They were the National Socialist Party.
Feudal peasant society to be a major world superpower.
How about the Ukrainian famine? How is that?
What about the Ukrainian famine?
Like the 6 million people Lenin intentionally killed through forced starvation and famine?
I mean, it's pretty ridiculous to frame that as intentional, right? Like, let's be real, right? There was a famine, and we can argue about the mismanagement of famines, but capitalists have mismanaged famines all the time.
Hold on a second. What is a kulak?
Potato famine.
What's a kulak?
What do you think a kulak is?
I know what a kulak is. You tell me. You're the Marxist.
No, I want to know what you think.
A kulak is someone that owned a certain piece of land that was not allowed to own that same piece of land because of Lenin and Stalin's government. And if they owned more than it, what happened to them?
And you know what? Okay,
No, just answer the question. I'm curious.
What did happen to them?
They went to a gulag. Do you believe those exist?
Yeah, 100% gulag.
How many people died in the gulag?
Do you know what a gulag is?
No, just like more or less. I just want to know.
Do you know what a gulag is?
Yeah, a forced labor camp, or it could be a forced death
camp. You mean
camp.
like the forced labor camps we have in the United States of America, which, by the way, the United States has more people in forced labor than any other country.
Where?
In our federal prison system.
How'd they get to prison?
They committed crime.
Oh, okay, so it's not forced. They made a choice.
Are you familiar with the...
Well, no, that's a phenomenal red herring argument you made. I'm just curious.
it's not
I just want to know, how many people died in the gulags?
No.
Notice, there it is, right there, the Bukele thing. Oh, they're worried about the rights of the rapists and the murderers. Well, you have forced labor in your prisons. That's not exactly how that goes. And listen, I'm not here defending the federal prison system, but I have said, I walked out the doors. I was like, we cannot get rid of those buildings. Okay? There are people in there that should never come outside, and you made me live with them. Okay.
But on the other hand, you will also probably say that we don't need to have 90% vacancy rates in the prisons as a target.
No, we don't. Exactly.
More or less. I'm just curious.
How many people died in American prisons?
Hold on a second. I'm just curious. Gulags. How many people died?
Why don't we talk about the people in India that Winston Churchill killed? Why don't we talk about the
so we're not here. I'm happy to do a whole defense of the greatest man of the 20th century, Churchill. I'm not going to actually do that right now. So was Alexander Solzhenitsyn a liar?
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
You're kidding me. You're a Marxist that don't know. You do not know who Alexander Solzhenitsyn is. He wrote a book called The Gulag Archipelago, which was a first-person account. He actually was in a gulag.
Come on.
so funny.
And you don't even know who he is.
You know that the people that worked on it admitted that they just made up a lot of those numbers, right?
He lived in one, my friend.
He lived in one, my friend. See, here's the thing. We've been fighting against the same enemy really since the dawn of time. It goes by the name of collectivism. Here's a nice little graphic. I like these graphics, right? Collectivism. The world conflict of today is the same conflict that has been fought throughout mankind's history. The names change, but the essence and results remain the same. Whether it is the individual against feudalism or against communism or fascism or socialism or the welfare state. Ayn Rand, right? Racism, nationalism, fascism, Marxism, communism, collectivism, all are the same dragon. All are the same dragon. And it's individualism versus that. And it's been that way since the beginning. It has been that way since the beginning. I think Donald Trump understands this clearly. He also understands that, you can't go out looking for monsters to slay, but at a certain point, the monsters are at the bay. They're at our doorstep. Bill O'Reilly had a conversation with Donald Trump before we started the Iran conflict, and he gives us some good insight into Donald Trump's thinking.
He didn't want to move. I spoke with him lengthy on the phone, and he offered the mullahs a really good deal to get out of this, to give up their nuke program and their ballistic missiles. And the United States and other countries would then rebuild their economy, help them with safe nuke energy. And the mullahs just basically said, blank you, we're not going to do it. So if you're president, and there is a clear and present danger because that the mullahs are reconstituting their nuclear program after being bombed out last June. You know that. And then the Persian people are on the uprise. You're going to do it. And you're not going to confer with Chuck Schumer before you do it. Because Chuck will run out and tell everybody everything. And the president has 60 days, 6-0. To do any kind of military action he wants under the banner of national security.
So he's got 60 days to get this done before the War Powers Act becomes a real problem, which yesterday they voted down, right? So they're not going to make Trump exit in 60 days or else. It's an unconstitutional act anyways, but either way, he's complying. And it sounds like that's the plan. They want to just get in and get rid of all their offensive capabilities. Now we know the Kurds are coming in, and this is where the fog of war starts to happen, right? You get punched, you don't know where you're going to go. So we got to be careful. But this is Peter Schweitzer, who wrote the book Clinton Cash, and he wrote a bunch of other good books. He's exposed a lot of politicians, including Mitch McConnell and some of the Republicans, just how corrupt they are. Mitch McConnell, most people don't know, but his wife is from Taiwan. Her father is CCP member, big shipping company. It's a little fuzzy there, okay? But anyways, Peter Schweitzer was on with Jesse Waters talking about the impact of the things that Trump has done so far. And this echoes what we've said. Venezuela, Iran, kind of working up the ladder to the real dragon. Who's the real dragon?
I'll just guess China.
Red communist literally. It's the embodiment of collectivism, mercantilism, right? It's the embodiment of that.
It now means we have a chokehold on the strait. Look, assume that China wanted to move on Taiwan, right? There's a military response, but now we have a massive energy response, which is we simply don't allow any tankers to ship oil from the Persian Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz. We can do it. It might have been a little bit dicey had we not taken out the Iranians. That's roughly half of their oil. 40 to 50% of their oil is now suddenly not available to them. So those are enormous methodologies. And look at what happens in terms of military technology, Jesse. China provided their most advanced air defense capabilities to Iran. We completely destroyed them. They didn't shoot down one American or Israeli plane. This is reminiscent of 1982 when the Israelis flying F-15s went up against the Syrians flying MiGs, and the Israelis beat them 81 aircraft to 0. What happened after that? They couldn't give the MiGs away. So China now has the problem that their military technology is not recognized as being up to par to the United States. That's going to have huge implications with a whole host of other countries.
Right. So they lose a bunch of customers and they lose face. Now that the United States, if this mission is successful, now we have no idea how this is going to play out. We're praying it works out. If it's successful, what kind of position does that put the United States of America with Venezuela and now Iran more in our orbit?
Well, it means that a lot of countries in the developing world that might have been flirting with China don't want to flirt with them anymore because they realize that, A, China can sign all the quote unquote strategic partnerships they want, but they're not going to do anything about it if their allies get in trouble. I mean, all China's done is send some scolding messages. They haven't done a single thing to stand up for their allies. Second of all, they understand that you know, this administration is the partner that they want to be in business with, not Beijing.
Okay. So we've basically neutered China's military contracts. Everybody's like, I don't want your air defense systems. They don't work at all. At all. Venezuela, loaded with them.
50% off on Amazon.
And a pilot got shot in the leg. Okay. And then what else? Iran? Any down jets? Well, there was some friendly fire over Kuwait. That's all that's happened.
Okay, folks, let me read an ad here. We got
do it.
jets for sale. They're cheap. Okay, that's it.
Migs, we're giving them away. I thought you were really going to do it. Go ahead and try to do it. It'll be great. You may as well throw it up. Oh, wow. Oh, we only need 20,000 viewers and we could have that. That would pay for the whole month. That'd be awesome.
There we go. There's one.
Good one.
I forced it. Oh, still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold, dark roast that hits hard, the smooth, medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to strip your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does.
Woohoo! Yes, we need to get some 1775 coffee, Ron.
I guess so.
Maybe not for you. Okay. So China is the real dragon here. They're the real font of collectivism. It's in the heart of man. Okay. The collectivism is in the heart of man. And so is individualism. And I believe we kind of struggle back and forth against that. But anyways, there was something that I did not know that I found out. This is really interesting. I always assumed China was our largest trading partner, but something has shifted very recently, Ron.
In a really unexpected turn of events, U.S. imports from the island of Taiwan have just surpassed their imports from China. This is the first time that this has happened since at least the 1980s. According to the most recent monthly data that comes out of the Department of Commerce, in November of 2025, we imported roughly about the same amount of goods from both countries. However, by December of 2025, we imported $24.7 billion worth of goods from Taiwan and only 21.1 billion from China. Now, the implications here are huge. I mean, communist China's population is literally 58 times greater than Taiwan. Their manufacturing capacity is massive. All the contracts that China has been able to win over the last 3 decades is voluminous. They basically hold a monopoly on rare earth mineral processing. And yet, here we are, little Taiwan, basically, I guess you can say the non-communist version of China, is able to outcompete the entire mainland. Now, the reason for the shift is twofold. It has to do with the tariffs, as well as the position that Taiwan has built for itself through decades of hard work in the semiconductor industry. Now, on the subject of tariffs, despite both Taiwan and China getting hit with tariffs over the last year, it wasn't equal. Quote, while Trump imposed 20% reciprocal tariffs on Taiwan last year, certain products, including semiconductors, benefited from exemptions. Washington and Taipei this month finalized a trade deal to lower the general U.S. tariff on Taiwanese goods to 15%, bring billions of dollars in chip investments to the U.S., and open Taiwan's auto and farm markets to American companies. On the flip side, the White House imposed heavier duties on Chinese goods in 2025. After numerous rounds of negotiations and a meeting between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping in late October, where they firmed up a truce, the U.S. tariff rate on China was understood to be around 47%. And so that is...
Wow. I mean, maybe we don't need Canada. Maybe we need to annex Taiwan.
Okay, let's knock the dominoes down here. So we start a trade war, pinch them. China's got a demographic problem. Yep. They have a real estate problem. They have a currency problem. And they have a trust problem.
Well, they also have an energy problem now. Oof. Ouch.
They have an energy problem. Okay. They're not selling as much stuff as they used to.
It's not looking good.
Not looking good.
Now, this is not really great because countries, when they start feeling like this, they start feeling like they have to react.
Japan.
Right.
Japan. Germany, Weimar Republic.
Right.
Yeah. You push them into a corner, it's going to be a problem, which is what we anticipated from Iran. We pushed them into a corner.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump gave the order for Treasury to exert a maximum pressure campaign on Iran. I said in a speech at the Economic Club of New York in March that I predicted that the Iranian currency would collapse, that we would see the economy collapse thanks to this maximum pressure. So we have been softening up the economy and preparing the ground for what our great warriors are doing right now. So the Iranian economy was vulnerable. We cut off the dollar supply into Iran. All of their oil is sanctioned. We've been able to keep the funds, many of the funds out of Iran. One of the largest banks collapsed in December. The central bank was forced to print a huge amount of money. Inflation ensued, and people took to the streets. So there was an economic crash in Iran in December, and now we have the opening to go in, and our military is taking over from the sky and from the sea.
You, Mr. Pepe Julian Onzima, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Okay, I was hoping I could get straight to the why are you gay part. Anytime I see a Scott Bessent clip, I'm like, why are you gay? All right.
I love his pose. He always looks he looks like he's posing for a portrait or something.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's got a very straight back.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. Okay. So we pushed Iran into a corner, and the words he used was a opportunity, a window open. What was that window? Iran was about to attack us. Why? We collapsed their economy like overnight. What's it, 1,000% inflation? That's what led to all the rioting on the streets. Now, Pete Hegseth gave a press conference with Raisin Kane, okay, with General Kane, and he was very explicit. We have the ability to win this war.
Iran cannot outlast us. We're going to ensure through violence of action and our offensive capabilities and our defensive capabilities, as I said, that we set the tone and the tempo of this fight. That's why stories and speculation about different things that try to make it look like we're limited in what we can do. The only limits we have in this is President Trump's desire to achieve specific effects on behalf of the American people.
We want to win. We entered it to win. We will outlast them. And because we've now established air superiority there, they're using dumb bombs. Well, they're smart bombs, but they're gravity bombs, okay. Which we have a lot of. And we couldn't use them because they were dumb bombs. You have to be over the target. And there weren't a lot of places in the world where you could get over the target.
Oh, okay.
Now, pundits out there, listen, we don't know anything. So anybody that's out there saying, well, we're running out of missiles. You don't know jack squat. You think the military publishes how many missiles they have? When they're low, they'll tell you they have a lot. When they're high, they'll tell you they have none, right? It's the art of war, Sun Tzu. Come on, man. 101. You don't think every general on the planet hasn't read Sun Tzu, right? Project strength when you're weak, project weakness when you're strong. Now, the United States, are we weak or strong? Again, you don't know. Okay? You have no idea. But I do know one thing. We went right into Venezuela and got their president. I do know another thing. We went right into Iran and blew their leader up. And guess what? We've lost 6 people.
Yeah. And there was no hesitation.
So America has looked weak for 47 years. When you're strong, look weak. Negotiate. Don't be the guy. Don't throw the first punch, right? What is it? This is the thing about people who know MMA fighters, UFC fighters, people that have black belts and Taekwondo, right? They're restrained. Why? Because they know that they're threatened. They know that you can't really hurt them. You can bluster. They're restrained because they know they'll win. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's very common, super common. So America has looked weak. We're the world's police. So we just kind of do our little thing and tell China to let the traffic through and pop a few Somali pirates from time to time. You know what I mean? But the reality is, are we weak? Have we not sustained this world order for going on a decade? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are, we're running out of Tomahawk missiles. Are we? Do you know that?
Or are we just measured and restrained?
I showed you a clip there where they're starting to use drones, the exact same models that Iran used, except with Starlink. Okay. Did anybody calculate that? All the people on TV that we're running out of Tomahawks. And Tomahawks might be like the revolver, not a really good weapon of war. You know what I mean? Like, probably not going to be making a lot of Tomahawks because what's the point? They can get shot down. They're super expensive. Just use a drone. Let it fly 50 feet above the air till it gets above its target. No radar will pick it up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Then maybe you're only spending $1 million instead of 50 million.
The real threat would be if Ukraine or Russia wanted to go after us because they know how to use little $500 drones that cause
right with the fiber optic trail network.
yeah, exactly. Smother you in glass. I mean, geez. Anyways, so nobody knows anything. He goes on to, is this the right clip?
We will avenge them.
Okay, so he goes on to say this.
We will avenge them, no doubt. But I liken Iran's predicament to a football team who scripted the first 20 plays of a game. The team knew what plays to run because their first few drives were scripted.
They knew which missiles to fire, which targets to hit. When the Ayatollah was killed, everybody knew what to do. But
they followed their first ground orders.
Started.
Yeah. But now that the game has started,
right,
and the blitz is on, they don't know what plays to call, let alone how to get in the huddle and call those plays.
Exactly.
Iran's senior leaders are dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor, dead, missing, or cowering in bunkers, too terrified to even occupy the same room. Senior generals, mid-level officers, enlisted ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more, built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective. In fact,
they sunk every boat. They hit every plane. You know, I saw a video where they were showing a tarmac and it had concrete reinforced bunkers, right? What do they pull the airplanes into? What do they call them?
Hangars.
Hangars. Concrete hangars, right? Real thick concrete hangars. And there were 4 of them lined up and each one had a hole in it. And then there was a blast between the front and back, and it was like, there's a plane in there, and they just right into the plane. Okay. And then now I've seen some videos where they're like, oh, Americans are wasting $1 million on a painted jet on the ground or a painted helicopter. And then I saw a debunk video where it showed other angles, and it's like, those were real. It's like, you're just being spoofed online. Oh, we're wasting money on nothing.
Yeah.
Fog of war. We know very little. And also the other thing too, is the CGI videos of this are just out of control, which is one of the reasons why I'm not really showing any clips of anything. One, I'm not super interested in the actual act of destruction, but also you can't trust any of it anyways.
Right.
But what you can trust is the geopolitical situation. So one of the things Trump said in all of this, when the Straits of Hormuz were closed, and China was like, we encourage Iran to open up the straits. Iran didn't close them. Okay. They couldn't stop anybody from going in or out if they wanted to. They got no more boats, right? So, but it was closed by Lloyd's, the insurance company in London that insures the vast majority of maritime shipping around the world.
I wonder what they're worried about.
Yeah. So Trump put out, effective immediately, and this is from March 3rd, effective immediately, I've ordered the United States Development Finance Corporation, DFC, to provide at a very reasonable price political risk insurance and guarantees for the financial security of all maritime trade, especially energy traveling through the Gulf. This will be available to all shipping lines. If necessary, the United States Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible. No matter what, the United States will ensure the free flow of energy to the world. The United States' economic and military might is the greatest on earth. More actions to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So China, don't worry, we'll get you your energy, but now
you got to pay for it.
Client. Now you pay us. You're our client. Now, you would think that all this international disruption, the brink of World War III, would cause markets to collapse. But, you know, war is actually kind of good for business. So Scott Bessent addresses this. Why haven't the economy crashed? Why hasn't crude crashed or, you know, gone through the roof? It's gone up, but it hasn't gone through the roof like some of the haters thought it would.
The DFC will provide the insurance for both the crude carriers and the cargo ships operating in and around the Gulf over the weekend. Lloyd's of London nullified the insurance, so U.S. government is going to step in, and when it is appropriate and should it be needed, the U.S. Navy will provide safe passage through the straits for the oil tankers.
We're a different country now.
Oh, there was another. You know, sometimes I get like the same clip, one's longer, one's shorter, and I grab the wrong one. He goes on to say, basically, the markets see into the future. The markets are not seeing that we're going to lose this. Okay? So take that for what you will. Okay. So moving on from Iran, but still in a related topic, there was a little incident that happened in the Capitol yesterday. Here's the incident right here. So this is a Marine in uniform, came to the United States Capitol. By the way, that's a Senator, Tom Sheehy, right there, that's getting in it here. That's an actual senator getting into it. Okay, so these guys are removing him. It's
What's the fight for Israel?
His hand is
broke his
damn.
He doesn't even scream. That is one tough Marine. So they hauled him out of there. And, you know, he was in uniform accusing the senators and the United States of America for fighting for Israel. Just look at who he's married to. Do you recognize that face by any chance? You might see the face, you know, the recognizable signature of Islam on this woman. But do you know who she is? That's Linda Salsour.
I don't know who that is.
So she's an acolyte of, what's his name? He's the Nation of Islam preacher. What's his name? It's not Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan?
Louis Farrakhan. So she's kind of one of his right-hand gals. And she is a racist. Okay. She's a ideological wacko. Okay. She's like a Code Pink on steroids kind of person.
Okay.
She has led protests and all kinds of stuff. That's her husband, a Marine.
I guess that's why I don't know who she is.
Yeah. So she takes money from George Soros, takes money from every dark group. Basically, every ideological NGO that opposes me, she's got something to do with it. So, yeah, this wasn't just some organic, you know, some Marine wants to come protest. No, it's her husband. Clearly. So that's the problem with a lot of this stuff is you don't really know, you know, who's who and who's actually causing problems online when you see certain posts getting ratioed or people getting attacked. There are still active bot farms. And by the way, bot farms, because Elon Musk did this great thing where he exposes what continent your account is from. So now these bot farms in Nigeria and Indonesia and China, they're trying to relocate here in the United States, okay, so they can be effective. So going after all of this stuff is a big, big picture. Before we get into this next part, good morning, Doug Wyatt. Good morning, Peasants. Shantini, good morning. Later today. And Marizo, see you in a couple weeks. Oh, Mom, bye. She's been at my house the last couple days. We're going to miss you guys. I know my kids had a great time with the cousin that you brought. So thank you so much. Okay, so there's a post, an article posted by Revolver News. It says this: for years, the system only chased illegal immigrants. Now, Department of Homeland Security is reportedly going after the real engine of the crisis, the employers. Investigators are bypassing the IRS and digging directly into the illegal hiring networks. If this sticks, the immigration game could change completely. So the IRS finally got permission to assist Department of Homeland Security identify and find illegal immigrants. But they're taking it a step further. When you get a job, you have to fill out what's called an I-9, and that is a DHS form. And that's supposed to prove that you have work eligibility. So if everybody in America is supposed to fill out an I-9, how do you have people working that are not allowed to work here?
I don't know.
Okay, it's because they either cheat, commit fraud, perjury, or someone's not checking those applications, right? So now the Department of Homeland Security is going to be going straight after employers to stop the magnet that draws people in to take the risk to be illegal immigrants. For years, everyone avoided this tactic. Why? Because the Uniparty knew it would actually break the pipeline. And God knows they don't want that to happen. Now DHS is moving directly into the driver's seat. This move is big, and it caught the attention of several people online who follow this stuff closely. One of them was Douglas Mackey. This is a very big deal. If the DHS going around the IRS with its own investigative wing to check if employees, taxpayers, are illegal aliens, this is a significant escalation in the crackdown on illegal immigration. It's a big deal. If it goes down as planned, it'll be a major shift in anti-illegal immigration strategy. We've always been focused on the illegals themselves, while employers, who are the real engine behind illegal immigration, have been humming along. Ron, I think there's a few people we could tip. I think we know a few people who make a habit of hiring illegals, right? If employers knew the government isn't serious about enforcement, the system keeps plugging along. And that is the same story with international law and domestic law. There are no laws. There are only cops. There's only enforcement. A law is not a law if there's not enforcement. Okay. So if you're allowing employers to do that and not punishing them, oh, sure, we lose a worker every now and then because they got a DUI, so they get deported. Well, if that illegal alien that got the DUI gets deported and he was working, DHS confirmed in a statement to the Post that I-9 inspection investigations are ongoing. The agency did not respond to questions about how many notice of suspect documents letters it has sent. The employment of illegal aliens incentivizes dangerous and illegal practices, including Social Security fraud. The department said in a statement, as we saw during a recent worksite operation in Nebraska, many illegal aliens use stolen Social Security numbers and identities to unlawfully obtain wages, health benefits, and employment authorization. Behind every stolen Social Security number uncovered in these operations is a real American. Mothers, fathers, students, and disabled workers now facing devastating financial, emotional, and legal fallout. Imagine getting a letter from the IRS saying you're behind in taxes, and you're like, but I paid. They're like, well, we show more income than what you reported. Well, that's not my social. I don't live in Nebraska.
That's right? Identity theft for you.
Yep. A whole slew of American businesses have quietly been padding their bottom lines at the same way. Cheap, illegal labor with no questions asked, and a wink and a nod from the cruddy, crooked system that never enforces its own rules. Oh, we just want the criminals to go away, but we want the employees to stay. And what do you always hear from people who are like, Millie, they're moly, they're weak, they're like their spine is made of wet spaghetti noodles. What do they always say? Well, these people pay taxes. Right. That's a nod to the employers, like, just make sure you have withholdings.
Right.
Okay.
Well, guess what?
There's no money, guys. None of that money goes to anything. It doesn't go to pay off the debt. It doesn't go to social services. It's just a control mechanism. So when they say, well, they're paying their taxes, who gives a rip?
Well,
who gives a rip if they're paying their taxes? The fact that you're giving them benefits
employee
creates
was
more debt.
legitimate, they would be paying taxes too.
What?
If the employee was legitimate, they would be paying taxes too.
No, I'm saying politicians say.
I know what you're saying. That the illegals are paying taxes, so it's okay. But what I'm trying to say is, if that guy was replaced with a legal employee, he's paying those taxes too.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Every social security number doesn't just exist on paper. A lot of times there's a real American on the other end of that identity dealing with the financial and legal mess that follows. Even immigration attorneys are warning restaurant owners that this new wave of enforcement is likely gearing up. It's just getting worse. You can read, and that, again, as far as I'm concerned, and we the peasants, because we have to live and work here, those illegal immigrants put pressure on the job market. They take opportunities from teenagers, from retirees, from people that are down on their luck. They take a lot of those entry-level jobs and mid-level jobs, a lot of them. And they take a lot of really quality labor jobs that if AI takes all the white-collar jobs, someone's got to do the roofing.
I think I know the answer to this question, but how many people have you turned in or sent in tips for?
One.
Yeah, I think I knew that was the answer because I know the story. But how often would you really do that? I mean, I can't picture myself calling anybody to turn anybody in.
I'm a former inmate, so snitches get stitches. So it's been pretty much I wouldn't say beat out of me, but it's been worked out of me not to be a snitch.
And I guess this is what I'm trying to say is, you know how you always get on me for projecting my goodness on other people. I think this is where this kind of slides in there too. And, maybe I'm not going to turn people in because it's like, that's their business. It's none of my business. Just let them be, What is it hurting? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Exactly. Okay, so we're gonna play this here. This is Kelly Loeffler. She's the SBA administration director, and she is cutting off serious amounts of funding to people who have been taking these SBA loans illegally.
I'm here in San Diego, standing at an address that is registered to 14 businesses that took $2 million in pandemic-era loans. Those loans haven't been paid back, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Today, the SBA is announcing we're suspending 112,000 California borrowers who took potentially upwards of $9 billion. We're going to continue to work with our federal partners to ensure accountability.
By the way, I think that's more than we spent on Ukraine.
For COVID-era fraud that the Biden administration tried to sweep under the rug. And just like Minnesota, California is another state whose socialist welfare policies have invited fraud. Well, the buck stops here. We're not looking the other way. We're prosecuting. There's going to be more to come.
This is what happens with collectivism, just to bring it back around.
When I hear these kind of numbers, and then also when I hear numbers attached to our voting and people campaigning it, and then you hear people like Tallarico spending $100 million, and it's like, what are we doing in this country where we throw around so much money where we could be solving so many problems?
Ron, don't you know the problem is the greed of the trillionaires, right?
I know.
No, seriously though, $9 billion in California, $19 billion. Let's just do a little math here, okay?
I know.
So we've got, if we want to be a real communist country, so we got 9 billion. So there's 9 million. 1, 2, 3. So now we got 9 billion plus 19 billion.
Right.
Okay. So gotta make sure I get enough zeros. So that equals 2.8 or 20. It's 27, 28 to the 10th power or something, divided by there's about 175 million taxpayers in America.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Divided by 175 million. Okay, equals, that doesn't seem right. We could all get $160. That doesn't seem right.
No, that's not right.
When I got out to the extent, I probably missed a couple zeros on one of those. Ron, you can do the math on there. 1776 Live PMA reminds people you can join us tonight on Ignite at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you can register, and she put the link right there in the chat. Thank you so much for doing that. So 1776live.us/ignite registrar. So you're going to make a little chart there to figure that out while you're doing that. Okay, so
how many billions I'm going to do here.
She also went on the post. Before this administration, the program 8A the 8A program was known as an easy target, and it was abused by shady firms who won federal contracts but passed work off to other larger firms or kickbacks. So what was going on there was you would be like a female-owned corporation or an Indian-owned corporation or a minority-owned corporation, and that would get you preferential bidding when you would bid on these government contracts. So they'd get these massive contracts, and then they would give them to the big firms that didn't qualify for those bids, and they just take a cut off the top. So you had a lot of literally shell corporations that were quote-unquote minority-owned that were getting massive contracts and just pushing them out. To root out all those bad actors, we asked all 4,380 8A firms to submit 3 years worth of financial documents to review. When you get those loans, you tell them that they can review your finances anytime you want. And today we took action to fully terminate 620 who refused to comply. Any business that refuses to show their books will not be allowed to do business with the federal government. Good, good. Because if you agree to do that, then you should show your books. What'd you come up with, Ron?
You know, the numbers weren't making sense to me. How many millions? How many billions?
9 billion in California, 19 billion in Minnesota.
So about 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $150 a person.
$150.
But what was the?
See, this is why redistribution of wealth never works. Because you never get enough.
It works out to about $250,000 per loan, though.
Per loan?
Yeah, for the 120,000 loans.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money. Stolen money. Okay, again, there are no laws. There's only enforcement. There's something that happened. Something that happened yesterday. It's kind of interesting. A Department of Justice attorney was arrested in D.C. So this particular Department of Justice guy is known to be gay, and he was walking around January 6th. So this was the pre-January 6th rally, one of them, and he was out in the crowd. He's from Maryland. He's a U.S. attorney for D.C., okay? And he was arrested in an FBI raid for having child pornography.
Oh.
Well, there's our nice DOJ attorney. Would you look at that guy and think that he's some like high-powered DOJ attorney vested with the authority of the executive branch?
No.
It's pretty stunning, huh? Yeah. Anyways, you know, there's just comes some authority figure says to do it isn't going to work when you stand in the judgment seat before God. Okay. Because that might be your authority figure. Here's some other authority figures that are showing their true colors. Yesterday, there was a privilege resolution that was voted on, and they wanted to, just like we release the Epstein files, expose the president, right?
A privileged resolution? Basically,
they brought it straight to the floor for a vote.
Okay.
Okay. And then you can either vote on it or you send it back to committee for markups. And that's where things go to die. So Lauren Boebert, along with Nancy Mace and Anna Paulina Luna and Tim Burchart and a whole bunch of other stalwarts, right, supported this resolution. Listen, we want to know who's been sexually harassed, who's been assaulted, and who's got the hush money, who's been paid. Because I can't remember the dollar amount. It's a large amount of money that has been paid from Congress to staffers and others that were sexually assaulted, harassed, and or abused by members of Congress.
Oh my God.
So on one hand, everybody wants the Epstein files released, but when it comes to themselves,
I'm absolutely disgusted that we couldn't even get to 50 members of Congress who want immediate transparency. Don't we all campaign on transparency? Don't we all go out and tell the American voters that we are leaders and that we are going to get justice for them, that we are going to do right by them, and then we hire their daughters to come work for us, and your tax dollars, millions and millions of dollars, has been used in this slush fund as hush money to silence victims who have been sexually harassed, sexually abused by members of Congress, and then Congress is going to do exactly what it does best: investigate itself. And we know that none of that ever goes anywhere. The American people demand transparency. And this doesn't just pertain to a ranch in Arizona or New Mexico or an island down in the Virgin Islands. This is happening right here in our nation's capital. And we should be held to the highest standards. And to every member who voted to send this to committee, where you know this was sent to die on the House floor just moments ago, I hope you have a darn good reason to tell your constituents why you were not going to stand up for the victims. And I'm glad that we are doing something about it here in the Oversight Committee. I'm glad that this motion was made here, so we actually have another chance at transparency. But again, these are your tax dollars. These are your tax dollars that were used to silence victims. They have been settled with victims. And to the members who voted against this, Go home and tell your daughters what you did today. Go home and tell your daughters what happens in the workplace, no matter where it is, in your hometown, in your nation's capital, and tell them what you did to help continue to cover up decades of corruption. I am absolutely in favor of this motion.
Yeah. Now, when the Democrats or the Biden administration made a mistake when they put Gary Santos in prison, okay, because any thought that he did I say Gary Santos? George Santos in prison, because any thought that he was going to stay quiet was gone. You know what he exposed on the Tucker Carlson podcast and others? They have an underground chamber in the Capitol with no cameras, and that's where they go to do their sex and orgy parties.
Oh,
he says, oh, yeah, they'll invite you down to there. It's like, and then it was, why are there no cameras down here? Because this is where all the assaulting happens. And they're like, we don't want cameras down here. We got to have some private places. That's in our Capitol. That's happening.
Huh.
Yeah. Now,
is that part of the tour?
Huh?
Is that part of the tour?
Yes, there's other things too, right? I mean, you can, it's bad stuff. Now, it's not just limited to Congress, okay? And it's not just limited to the men. There's also women who take advantage of their power, or maybe it's not taking advantage of their power, but it does create kind of some issues. Kristi Noem has a little bit of a problem with a advisor named Corey Lewandowski.
Official. So, Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and ma'am, one thing that I would tell you is that
an appropriate answer could be no.
Is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So, reclaiming my
an
time,
advisor,
Secretary, it is
has
okay for
no,
you to be
no
offended
authority
by the
to be
question.
making any
it is
decisions.
okay for you to
has
be
no
offended
authority
by the
to
question.
be making
but it is
decisions
also a
and putting
real
in
question.
position. So what I would say
and
to
you should be able to
is
answer
that
the question.
what we do at the Department of Homeland Security every single
and without
day,
any hesitation,
every single day is to protect.
If someone is asked
to make
if
decisions.
you or any federal official is sleeping with their subordinate, that should be the easiest. You should be wanting to answer that question.
Is garbage?
Because it is not about
It is
your sex
offensive
life.
that you have brought
It is
that up.
about your
So
judgment.
that kind of garbage
It is
has
about
been refuted
reclaiming
for
my
years,
time so
and
that
you
I
need
can
to
hear myself
recognize
there.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from California, but it'd be nice if you would let her respond.
I will. I want to let you know it is about your judgment and decision making. It is about the 260,000 employees that work under you that want to make sure that you are giving information and making decisions clearly. It is about conflict of interest. It is about a national security risk. Department of Homeland Security was created right after 9/11 to protect the homeland. And DHS has circulated an internal bulletin to law enforcement partners warning that the conflict of the war we're in could inspire lone actors or small-scale cyber activity inside the United States, according to a memo obtained by ABC News. So American lives are at risk. The people who work for you are at risk. And they want to know that the person at the top, you, are making decisions clearly, without any sort of cloudiness, and that they're your decisions because you're the secretary who was confirmed. That's what this is about. Saving the lives of Americans. And
unfortunately, she voted against exposing Congress for some of the same behavior. Okay. Now, this relationship between Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski is like 5 years long. It's not a new thing. Okay. Like, this is not a new thing. In fact, I was actually a little bit surprised that she got a nomination at all because of this fact.
Oh, really?
And then Corey Lewandowski became a special government employee that tags along with her everywhere. Okay? It's a little weird. Okay. It's a little weird. Tim Burkhart says this, and I agree with him. Okay. After that vote yesterday.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. The House just did the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. We just voted to cover up sexual harassment of employees by members, if you can believe that. I got the sponsor right here with me, got Boebert. Y'all tell them what happened.
It's shameful. They voted against my resolution that would reveal members of Congress who sexually harass employees on the Hill, women on the Hill, in the campaigns, lobbyists, etc. shameful. So I don't want to hear.
They sent it to the ethics committee. So a bunch of congressmen are going to investigate
So let
themselves.
it go get hidden, right?
Yeah, this is exactly where bills go to die. So her privileged resolution is being sent to the ethics committee for members of Congress to investigate themselves. And remember, this is your tax dollars that were used in this hush money.
Yeah. How many millions are in that thing? They said there's millions.
Some years there's like 4 or 5 million that went to a slush fund that paid for members of Congress with your tax dollars to allow them to go sexually harass people on the aisle. And then the second thing is I want to say is I don't want to hear another word about Epstein or Epstein victims by a single person, Republican or Democrat, that voted against revealing sexual harassment.
Let's get that list. How many people? 49 of us voted to make it public, right?
Yep, actually have transparency.
49 or 50,
and this is the crap that we see up here all the time. We are actually standing for victims. And we just saw with Tony Gonzalez, his staffer, who killed herself, lit herself on fire. The worst way to die. And this was part of the same fund that is being covered up. Did he pay her? Maybe she never got a check. You'll never know. Doesn't have a life anymore.
You'll never know. Anyway, we need transparency. Thank y'all for sending me here.
So there's a guy on MS Now named Joe Scarborough that had an intern die in his office late one night that allegedly there was some funny relationship there. He even joked about, well, she was going to talk, so I had to kill her on the Howard Stern radio show later. Yeah, this is Trump has talked about this. Hey,
wow,
Joe Scarborough, do you want me to talk about that thing? Right? Talks about him being a murderer. That's Trump saying that. He's on TV. Okay, Tony Gonzalez. He has a sexual relationship with his intern or his staffer. They have the text messages. They're all out there. And yesterday, for the first time on the Joe Pag show, he admitted to it. For the first time, he admitted to the affair. And she did. She went and killed herself over it. And she told people, like, basically, he's got power. What am I going to do here? It's going to be covered up. Like, it was horrible. Okay. Now, I posted this, and this is a video of. I agree with Tim Burkhart, right? We need to get rid of all of them. It's not like this is Saddam Hussein back in the day, and he was having his little speech here, and he goes, "Whoever I read the name of must chant the slogan and leave the hall immediately." He starts shouting off names, and of course, people get up and walk out. Everybody's walking out to the back. And then after he's done sending everybody out, one guy stands up and goes, "Me? I'm on the list." And he's like, say the chant and walk out back, takes another puff of his cigar.
Yeah.
And then as soon as everybody that he calls their name, look at the reaction of the crowd.
Oh, yeah. All the people that didn't have their names called, they're all like, "Oh, yeah. Whoa."
But that's what we need. So my comment was this. I was really hoping the State of the Union would go like this. Maybe next year. Okay. So, we've got problems. There's problems in the capital city. Again, two wrongs don't ever make a right, right? We just want to be good people. And nobody cares. We shouldn't care what you do in your bedroom. But when it spills out, when it affects your work, and when you're in a position of authority and governance, it matters. Now, we just had the primary in Texas and a handful of other states around the country. And there's this woman right here. Matt Van Swole posts this. He's from North Carolina. Lakeisha Alston, the woman running for election as a Republican in North Carolina's Senate District 22, in full hijab. This is the picture that she took for her campaign. And was revealed to actually be a lifelong Democrat. Ran completely unopposed and is now the GOP candidate in North Carolina. She ran unopposed as a Democrat, claiming Republican, and now she'd be on the ballot unopposed in the general election, which means there's a senator for North Carolina, just so you guys can see her picture. That's what we're getting. Awesome. Okay. Addressing the primary in Texas, Donald Trump posted a truth that says this: the Republican primary race for the United States Senate of the great state of Texas, a state I love and won 3 times in record numbers, the highest vote ever by far. Okay. Now, the Senate campaign was run between John Cornyn, the incumbent, and Ken Paxton, the current attorney general of Texas. Ken Paxton, I think it was 2.5 or 4.5 million he spent on his campaign. And he came within 20,000 votes of beating the incumbent Cornyn, who the GOP spent $100 million on.
Again, the money.
Yeah. Okay. Cannot, for the good of the party and our country itself, be allowed to go on any longer because it's a bitter feud between Republicans. It must stop now. We have an easy to beat radical left opponent, and we have to totally focus on putting him away quickly and decisively. Both John and Ken ran great races, but not good enough. Now, this one must be perfect. My endorsement within the Republican Party have been virtually insurmountable. It is such an honor to realize that they say that almost everyone I endorse wins, and wins by a lot, especially in Texas. I will be making my endorsement soon, and I will be asking the candidate that I don't endorse to immediately drop out of the race. Is that fair? We must win in November. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So Donald J. Trump basically is going to pick between Cornyn, the incumbent, and Paxton, the AG, as to who he's going to endorse.
Now, I don't think it's fair necessarily, but it is the smart path forward. And if these guys are going to be smart about it, they're going to listen to him.
Now, all the buzz on the street from anybody who knows anything thinks that Donald Trump is going to endorse John Cornyn. And MAGA is like, no, this is worse than bombing Iran. There was a poll released yesterday by Fox News amongst the quote unquote self-identified MAGA base. Trump has 97% approval. So it's not going to upset his base. Trump could literally go to Main Street, shoot someone in the head, and we'd be like, they probably deserved it. It's getting pretty silly at this point. So anyways, this is a compilation reel of John Cornyn. So we're going to talk about John Cornyn, and then we're going to talk about the political math here for this endorsement. Because there's the obvious, endorse Ken Paxton. Duh. He's a MAGA Republican. Way more than Cornyn, right?
So we want to try to get our eyes open to see what we're doing here.
We want to get our eyes open because probably Trump's going to endorse Cornyn and everybody's going to lose their mind. But there might be an upside.
I fully expect, unless there's some surprise that none of us know anything about right now, that Joe Biden will be the next president.
Strong words from U.S. Senator John Cornyn out of Texas. The Republican says former President Donald Trump can't win the 2024 general election for president. He also says the GOP needs to find a candidate who actually can. This was all in a call with Texas reporters. Cornyn saying, I think President Trump's time has passed him by. And he adds, I don't think President Trump understands that when you run in a general election, you've got to appeal to voters beyond your base.
Mr. President, I rise today to mark an important milestone for our friend, Senator Mitch McConnell. Senator McConnell's done it the old-fashioned way. He earned it. He earned this role as our leader and the respect certainly that goes along with it. But more than that, he's a rare example of what a senator ought to be. So thank you, Senator McConnell, for your example. Thank you for your mentorship and for your friendship.
Just a few weeks into our partnership as leader and whip, John presented me with a birthday gift. He framed and autographed a picture of ourselves. Just an ordinary, not particularly glamorous shot of the two of us.
And I've passed more legislation, more bipartisan legislation than any other member of the Senate. That's not a mistake. It's because I reach out to people like Kirsten Sinema from Arizona, even Mark Warner from Virginia.
And then there was his handwritten message. Happy birthday, Mitch. I've got your back. And how fortunate I've been to be reminded every single day since that John Cornyn meant exactly what he said.
I want to bring this up as well. Liz Cheney, it'd be hard to find somebody more conservative in Congress than Liz Cheney. Perpetuating the big lie is an attack on the core of our constitutional republic. Is she right?
Well, I believe Joe Biden won the election, and President Trump had about 60 different lawsuits that were unsuccessful in changing the outcome. But there's no question in my mind about the outcome of the last election.
Thank you for making all of us look better than any of us deserve. Thank you for always having all of our backs.
And we should not dictate from Washington, D.C., what sort of weapons they can get access to. We should let them make the decision and provide them everything they need in order to defend themselves and their country and defeat Vladimir Putin.
Prosecutors across the country are refusing to enforce laws that we already have. So if you're the United States Senate, if you're John Cornyn from Texas, supposedly free state of Texas, you'd probably want to do something about that. But no, John Cornyn has decided to take guns from lawful gun owners. And if there's one reason you vote Republican, it's to prevent that. So it's not surprising that John Cornyn is very unpopular with Republican voters. Watch his reception today at the Texas Republican Convention. Listen for the boos.
The audio doesn't play the booze very well.
Simon explains the booze all because of Cornyn's role leading bipartisan talks on gun reform.
Do you think the January 6th attack on the Capitol would have happened without the influence of Donald Trump claiming election fraud?
There's been appropriate investigations by the FBI and the Department of Justice, a number of convictions, and I think that's the way that we deter this in the future.
Senator, what's your biggest concern for Texas right now, and what are you pushing for to deal with it?
I've been encouraging everybody to do what I've done, which is to get vaccinated, and to me that is a much better solution than getting the virus. But as I said, my advice to anybody who will listen, and for anybody I care about, is to get vaccinated. Take advantage of that. That's the best thing you can do for yourself and your family and your future.
I'm a Republican man. As soon as I was eligible to take the vaccine, I did it.
Now, how'd that work out for you, Mitch? Mister, I can't walk right now.
Have you ever called yourself a Republican man?
Yeah. So Cornyn has been this like,
oh man, my eyes are opened. Whew.
Yeah, not really. He's uniparty 1,000%, and he has voted against Republican interest. He's a gun grabber with Texas.
Yeah,
he's also. There's other clips of him. Oh, to build a border wall, we don't need a border wall from sea to shining sea. That's ridiculous. We just need better policy. We have a bill Lincoln's got. We're going to let 5,000 people a day in.
I expected more from Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why the choice is obvious. If it's about policy, Paxton's the guy. There's, however, a little bit of a hitch in this giddy up.
Uh-oh.
Sometime between now and the midterms, we need to pass the Save America Act.
Oh.
And Cornyn's holding it up.
Why is there always some lever?
Yeah. This is politics. Politics as usual, as Vince McMahon used to say. Okay. Cornyn's holding it up. There's some other bills that would be nice to get passed in the short term. So this is politics. Cornyn's got a card to play. If I get your endorsement, maybe I'll pass that Save America Act. I'll win an election because I otherwise would not. Okay. Is that worth it? Is that worth it? Now, some people are like, oh, let's go crazy. Cornyn resigns, and then Abbott appoints Paxton as the senator, and then Cornyn jumps into the AG race or becomes the AG. Like, ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Okay. So Ben Ferguson on Fox News assessed this race between Paxton and Cornyn. Paxton clearly is the mover and shaker on this.
Paxton has won a statewide race 3 times. We are waiting on President Trump to make an endorsement in this race and reportedly asked one of the two, Cornyn or Paxton, to drop out. And that's often said, and I understand the political question, but Kim Paxton has won 3 statewide elections.
Yeah, I actually think if you look at last night's numbers, and I'm a numbers guy, how much did it cost Cornyn to not even win when he's the incumbent? Well, you do the math. He spent $78 per vote. Do you know what Kim Paxton spent last night? $5. $5. One guy spent 70 million plus. The other guy spent 5 million. Now, you look at the winning. He only won by 20,000 votes. What does that mean? It means a very simple thing. If the Republican establishment is obsessed with saving John Cornyn, how many other races are they going to lose around the country? Because you have to spend even more money in the general to try to save him. I don't think that Cornyn can win this thing in a general. I think Kim Paxton's a guy that everybody keeps saying he can't win, he can't win. If I was sitting with the president today, I would say, not only can he win, look at how he barely spent any money and almost beat an incumbent senator who had unlimited funds coming not from Texas, outside of Washington, like Washington, D.C. and everywhere else with all the establishment.
So it's obvious. Paxton, right? Paxton. But what about a couple votes that need to happen between now and then? We've got a war with Iran. We've got illegal immigration. We've got the Save America Act. Now, if Trump does end up picking Cornyn, which apparently Susie Wiles is trying to push him that direction, probably for political reasons. Okay. Ken Paxton was asked on the radio yesterday, well, would you go ahead and drop out of the race? And he said, no way.
Yes, it was. And by the way, I spent $5 million versus 100. And there've only been 2 U.S. senators that I know of that lost a primary in the last 40 or so years because the finance rules are so rigged in favor of the incumbents and so limited for challengers. But it's I think Richard Lugar lost and Bob Bennett lost to Mike Lee. So it's a pretty unusual thing to take on an incumbent and actually do well against them. And we're going to do really well in the runoff.
So when you look at the vote, 60% of the people who voted last night voted against Cornyn, though he's been in office for a long, long time, 4 decades. What do you make of that? What message does that send? And what message do you want to send to the Republican base? President Trump said he's going to make an endorsement. Whoever he does endorse should drop out. I have a funny feeling you don't drop out under any circumstance.
No, I'm staying in this race. I owe it to the people of Texas. I've spent a year of my life campaigning against John Cornyn because John has not represented the people of Texas well. He's sided with Joe Biden on Second Amendment restrictions. He's sided with Joe Biden on bringing Afghan refugees to settle here without vetting them. But he's been against Trump in both of his elections, said he shouldn't run last time. His day had passed, and of course he fought him on the border wall. He's been an amnesty guy. Everything that Trump stood for, John Cornyn's fought. But he was a big help to Joe Biden. The people of Texas, at least the Republicans, would like something different.
Yeah. So who's he going to endorse?
Guess we'll see.
This is one of those things where you just have to trust Trump. Okay. Whoever he endorses, if he says, John, I'll endorse you, pass the Save America Act, please make him pass it first. Okay. But if he gives him the endorsement and then the act gets passed, that's the writing on the wall, guys. You sacrifice 1 Senate seat for 6 years in order to get cleaner elections, and when we can flush other people out, they got to go. Probably a lot of Democrats. You know what I mean? If we have the Save America Act passed, a lot of the Democrats that are up for election in some of these kind of purple states, that you might have that challenger just sweep into victory. You know, when they're missing 50, 80, 100, 200,000 votes off the registration rolls in these districts. I mean, you don't know what the American electorate looks like. You don't know from polling companies. Because why? Because I don't answer polls because I'm a conservative and I don't want to be on a list. But socialists always want to do because they want a virtue signal, right?
Well, those polls are all engineered to death, too.
Yeah, they're engineered. So you can't trust the polling. When I drive around, I'm like, there's a lot more conservatives than you think. Pretty much anybody with a job that pays taxes is like conservative, I mean, there's, pockets of liberalism. But even liberals, a lot of times, are still individualists. They haven't drank the communist Kool-Aid yet.
Right.
So we'll have to trust Trump on that one. Unfortunately, it's going to create, no matter who he endorses, it's going to create just endless chatter. If he endorses Paxton, the base will be happy, but then the Uniparty will probably not get any more nominations. He's going to pull a total Tom Tillis. If you think Tom Tillis is bad because he's not running for re-election, it's just like what Richard Bayer said. It creates an impeachment vote. And that's the other thing, too. If Trump doesn't endorse Cornyn, they could rush through an impeachment of Kristi Noem. They could rush through an impeachment of Donald Trump. And Cornyn's a shoe-in vote for that because he's opposed Trump almost every step of the way. What do we got here?
I don't know. This is a new one for me. Mew. Ever feel like the phone is eavesdropping? That's because big tech treats every user's life like a corporate paycheck. It's time to stop being the product. Millions are making the move to MeWe, the place where private connections and online communities actually thrive. On MeWe, privacy is a human right, not a hidden setting. They don't track users, they don't sell personal data, and they truly believe in free speech. No shadow bans, just real conversations. Join the 21 million people taking their digital lives back. Click the link below to get started. Use codes WELCOME2026 at checkout to grab 20% off the MeWe Premium.
MeWe is actually a pretty good social media site. It's just not super popular, which is why you've never heard of it. Yeah. But it does emphasize privacy. There's like no ads. It's really a interesting community. Haven't been on there in 4 or 5 years, but back when Twitter was censoring everybody and Facebook was deleting accounts, I ended up getting a Gab account, a MeWe account, and a couple other of these kind of obscure places. There's a robust community. Truth Social came out later, right? There's Parler was another one. Remember, our home was on Parler.
Yeah,
right. And then they nuked it. So that in that era, MeWe was one of the companies that came out and was kind of a competitor to Parler. Anyways, they're still around apparently. That's awesome. I'll have to check back into them. Okay, so last little thing today. This is billionaire Serbian Bolujic Kerek, please forgive me. I don't know. He's a billionaire from Serbia. Okay, this is a man who was under the under the Iron Curtain, and when the Iron Curtain fell, he built a huge $1 billion communications empire. And he was interviewed by Laura Logan, and he says something that I think we all intuitively feel, right? That Donald Trump is a different caricature. He's different, and we should feel lucky to live in this time.
So you're a developer like Trump?
Yes, like Trump. But Trump is, how to say, special man. America and people from United States need to happy to have the chance to live in this time where Trump is president. That is very important. But Trump is first president who wants, after 20, 30 years, to return America
to the people.
The people. That is very important. For 30 years, I know America 50 years ago. In that time was others. Now, for 20, 30 years, America changed. But key, our business and our philosophy, our family is our family to be together. America lose that key, how to say, if you have together family,
yes,
you have a strong country. And Trump now doing that. He is absolutely, how to say, I call him Papa of the world.
Papa of the world?
Yeah.
Papa Trump?
Papa Trump.
I bet he would like that.
Yeah.
That'll make him laugh.
He doing a revolution. But people doesn't.
He is doing a revolution.
People doesn't.
They don't see it. They don't. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand.
Many people doesn't understand him.
Yeah, he's doing a revolution. Many people don't understand. That's the thing, right? The variables, the moving pieces in this whole equation are way more than we can really comprehend. And the battle has always been the same. It's the individual and the family versus collectivism. The only collectivism that should exist is within the family unit, right? And then we extend that out to the country, but it's always supposed to be family first. Donald Trump does understand that. So I'll leave the public side with this picture again, right? The world conflict of today is the same conflict that has been fought throughout mankind's history. The names change, but the essence and the results remain the same, whether it's the individual against feudalism or against communism or fascism or socialism or the welfare state, Ayn Rand. Technologies change. Communications change. But the core is the same. We can live in a world with AI. It won't kill us if we embed individualism into it, right? We can live in a world with nuclear technology and use it for power and energy instead of bombs if we remember why we did it in the first place. It was to make the individual's life better. And when the tide rises, all boats rise. But when you go and you do it in the name of collectivism, give of yourself, your substance on behalf of someone else, that's cannibalism, right? It's the whole put your oxygen mask on first before you help the person next to you kind of mentality. Trump understands that, and he's using the tools that were otherwise meant for evil for people who wanted to create totalitarianism around the world, and instead he's using it to bomb the totalitarians, to cut off China, and to try to limit collectivism in the world so that we can have a resurgence of hopefully peace. So very interesting. Again, there are no laws, there are only cops. That's why Donald Trump is the world papa, right? It's because sometimes daddy has to come home and set things straight. Okay, guys. That's it. I think CCP owns MeWe. Actually, it's not. It's American owned. John Solomon endorsed it way back when, and he had the owner on. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they do get CCP money.
Maybe they got sold. I don't know.
Yeah, if that's the case, forget the ad. Don't go to MeWe. We'll take their money. We'll read ads and then tell you after the ad never to do it. But I don't think they're owned by China. I could be wrong. Okay. With that, we're going to jump over into private. We've got some funny stuff. We've got Tim Walz getting absolutely burned in his Senate hearing. We're going to be talking about knife violence, the horrible epidemic of knife violence in Britain and the solution to it. Okay. We're going to be talking about Trump now is able to fire deep state bureaucrats. The Supreme Court gave him a 9-0 decision saying, fire away. So there's 50,000 people that were just fired. Okay. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about how the state of Virginia, and I know there's a couple other states are doing this, are passing laws requiring teachers in schools to never refer to the J6 incident as anything other than a violent insurrection.
Oh, brother.
You cannot say it's a quote unquote peaceful protest. And they're putting that into law in Virginia.
Oh, brother.
And then we're going to be talking about AI lies. They just did a study on AI is not hallucinating. It's knowingly lying to you. And then we're going to be showing you some robots shoveling snow. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, guys, go. Those of you that are joining us in private, we'll see you in just a second. Those of you on the public side, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Cheat code. If you download the audio, you can hear the whole show beginning to end. All right. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.